Am I there? Am I here? Am I what? Yeah. Hi. Hi. My usual fits and starts of a beginning. If I should go back and check out how the show looks and when I come on. I need to get my act together. How are you? It's Monday. It was 80 what? 82, 83, whatever the hell it was yesterday. And now it's like it's freezing. Nothing to see here. Just normal. I always say when I talk to you on Thursday, God knows what we'll be talking about on Monday because so much happens in Donald Trump's world. I was remembering a comment that someone said about an acquaintance who is a narcissist. And what was said was, she sucks the air out of the room. And I was thinking, that's what he does. He sucks the air out of the friggin' world. Some people, that is their, that's how they go through life. It's an awful thing. Just awful. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm babbling. So I think right after I last spoke to you, because I always think right after we close out the show on Thursday, invariably something happens that, I'd love to be talking to you about. And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, what it was last Thursday was what he said to the Japanese, Prime Minister? Yeah, I think Prime Minister. It's like you see it, you hear it, you cringe. Think of all the times you have seen video in that exact same spot, the Oval Office, 2 chairs, Donald effing Trump in one, and some poor head of state in the other. And behind them, all of that god-awful gold leaf, right? And then something so cringifying happens that you suck your breath in. If you can get a breath, because they suck all the air out of the room. Uneffin' believable. He's an idiot. But why don't you say something nobody's ever thought of before? I was thinking, guys, I really don't have anything to say anymore. I don't have anything more to say than you do. I have nothing to be said that is different than anybody else who's watching. What's there left to say? Why do we even, I don't even, I was saying to friends the other day, do you think that, like, let's say in 6 months, we'll be wistfully thinking of how relatively calm our lives were when the spring came? Is it conceivable that in 6 months we'll look back on now as like the good old times? possible. That's the insanity we're living in. Hey, anyone want my ticket? I have to travel next week. Anyone want to go in lieu of me? Son of a bitch. I think I was saying, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe in so many ways I can't begin to tell you. And then, of course, LaGuardia today. I don't feel safe. We are living in a country that isn't functioning much because its government is simply MIA. Well, that's not true because they're AWOL. I mean, all the things they're supposed to be doing, they're not doing. Things they shouldn't be doing, they are doing. Money they never have for anything that would benefit you or the neediest of us. Never have the money. Bombing the shit out of countries, killing innocent people. We got the money. We're in the money. There's never a problem then. It's unbelievable. Well, Kurt, congratulations. Kurt is telling me that he met his husband 30 years ago today. That's a good long haul. And two wonderful men. That's wonderful. Way to go. Oh, dear guys. Yeah, Robert's reminding us that good news is that Pittsburgh City paper is coming back. And we had spoken of that a bit last week. I don't know what that means for this. I really don't. I don't know whether I don't know if they want to have me back with whatever it is they'll be doing. And I frankly don't know if I want to be back with them since it's going just fine here. Albeit we have some, things we need to improve. But so it's all up in the air. I'm very happy for all the folks who lost their jobs. I'm very happy for the citizens of Pittsburgh who will get that alternative weekly back. And I don't know. That was a piece of incredibly good news. So, guys, I just don't know what I mean. And then I had some friends over, and one of them said, "What do you think about CBS News?" And I said, "Well, it's shit." And they said, "No, I mean being canceled." I said, "What?" I can't keep up anymore. They were talking about CBS Radio, which is now poof, is gone, or will be in May, but it's gone. It's dead. Everybody who works in it it's gone. They didn't even let it get to its 100th birthday. CBS Radio News, the Vanguard, the Exemplar. They set the bar very high. And wouldn't you know that they go out after 99 years because of people who set the bar wherever Donald Trump wants it. So much loss. Though Barry Weiss was quoted as saying certain parts of this newsroom need to get smaller in order for us to make room for the things that we need to build to remain competitive. Well, yeah, okay, but certain parts of this newsroom need to get smaller? Um, that seems to suggest that it's still there. Uh, they just it's gone. That's small. Not existing at all. That is small. If they kept one little desk, she could have still said, you gotta some things have to get smaller. But it's obliterated. God dang. Okay. Let me, I guess, get to something here. Hey, why aren't we seeing a little bit more on some of these things that are coming out about Epstein and the jail he was found dead in? Why aren't we? Where's our media on that? Because I'm seeing lots of stuff. And this is stories being broken by the dogged reporters who have kept this alive from day one. The newspaper reporters from Miami, I think. And now they're telling us, although we now know that the FBI was contacted more than once by a number of corrections officers at the facility in New York where Epstein was held, independently called the FBI to say, hey, guys, I think you should know there's a lot of people here. Even as your team is here dealing with his body, they're over there shredding huge amounts of paper. It was reported by more than one person because they thought it looked unbelievably suspicious. Oh, here, a corrections officer wrote to the FBI about the unusual amount of shredding and suggested, quote, you may want to investigate why Bureau of Prisons employees are destroying records. Yeah, you might. And they got a call from another who said, hey, guys, they're just shredding things left, right, and center here. We've now heard about payments being made to guards. Before when are we ever going to find the truth of this? When? We never will as long as Donald Trump is in the White House. Because what we have now is an FBI and a Justice Department actively working to stifle the truth and to protect the perpetrators. It's obvious that's what they're doing. It's unbelievable. Robert Mueller. That was the other thing. Are you ever shocked? Is there anything he could do or say that would seriously shock you? I mean, it might disgust you, make you throw your hands in the air, but would it surprise you? I think we are fully aware now that there is nothing too outrageous, too low, too cruel, too insane that he would do and or say. Nothing. And that our piddling imaginations can't even, as people often write things, like saying, I didn't have that on my bingo card. Yeah, we don't have these things on our bingo cards because we are, you know, with a few glitches here and there, relatively sane. Can't really speak for you, but relatively sane. So for I mean, I saw people's outrage. People saying the worst thing an American president has ever said. I don't know. Maybe. I'm sure you could make a list of the worst things an American president has ever said, and the top 10 would all be Donald Trump utterances, right? I would think, because he's in a different realm. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. We are all so sullied by him. And again, I want to thank all of you who voted for him. Unbelievable what you did. Just un-effing believable. Well, you told us something by voting for him. And it's a truth that is hard to digest and hard to live with. That there are so many, millions upon millions of Americans for whom cruelty, vulgarity, total lack of humanity, empathy, character, seriousness don't mean anything. That there are millions of Americans who would throw away their precious vote on such an awful human being. And that he would be our representative in the world. It's embarrassing. So I was looking at what Robert Mueller accomplished with his Mueller report. It's such ancient history now. But yeah, he found he got guilty pleas from, I think, 5 or 6 of Trump's pals and staffers, including General Flynn, including Paul Manafort, right? And then he went after a whole bunch of Russians who Trump's pals were working with, because Mueller's charge was to investigate Russian interference in our election. And he said, yeah, they did. And here's some specifics. And here are the people who specifically did it. And these are crimes. And so people were indicted, people were convicted, people went to jail. Of course, Donald Trump pardoned everybody. This is the Russia hoax. And then I read a piece this weekend about the upcoming presidential election in Hungary. This is Trump's buddy Viktor Orban running for re-election as that country's self-appointed king. And there's a chance he ain't gonna make it. The people of Hungary are hungry for their democracy. And they've been in the streets in huge, huge numbers. When Americans go into the streets, doesn't look like much compared to when Europeans do it. I don't know, why is that? Anyway, here's the weird thing. It was found out that Russia, who wants Orban to win, he's their pal in the EU. He's the guy who's on their side in the war in Ukraine. He's the one who feeds them information. How the hell we don't expel Hungary from NATO, I don't know. Or the EU doesn't expel them. Are they in NATO? Nah. I don't know. But they're Russian pals. And so, guess who's clearly already interfering in this election coming next month in Hungary? Because they want Orban to win every bit as much as they wanted Donald Trump to win. And when the Russians get involved, it's really bizarre, but very often they do get exactly the outcome they wanted. But listen to the idea they floated, because it was leaked by somebody, that they floated to the Orban government. They said, what you might want to do is stage an assassination attempt on Orban. That's the Russians were telling him, we've thought of this. This is going to work. It works because it's right before the election. It will make the voters very emotional rather than thinking. And that emotion will help Orban, who will, of course, survive this attempt and be a hero. Reminds you sort of, somebody's ear and the fist in the air. Stage an attempted assassination. I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here shaking my head. I really am. So when I go off flying, I'm glad to see ICE is not at the Pittsburgh airport, right? They are at airports I'll be going through, but I'll already have gotten through security, so I don't know that I'd bump into them. I know that it would make me feel a lot safer to have ICE at the airport. It's beyond belief. It's like we're like living in a third world country. You go to the airport the day before your flight. You stand in endless lines. You may well miss your plane, and if you do, tough. There is no assurance that the system will function for you. And think of putting those ICE guys in there with the TSA people, both employees of the Department of Homeland Security. The TSA guys haven't had a paycheck in like almost 2 months. The ICE guys, they're getting paid because they're the pets. They're the most important. They are, in fact, I think they have that designation of so important that we pay them no matter what. So there they are in the airports doing what? They're not trained to do what TSA is trained to do. And yet they, the untrained ones, are getting paychecks, and heftier paychecks, by the way, than the guys at TSA. According to local news, ICE is at Pittsburgh Airport. Well, it's not one of the airports that the feds are saying they are putting a bunch of people in. I don't know. They're at LaGuardia, which is shut down. Oh my God. I don't know. I don't know. I remember when I read that crazed threat that Trump made to Iran on Saturday night. Yeah, Saturday night. Again, if you look at the stuff this guy is writing and putting out, why am I telling you that? You know that the rantings of a lunatic. And yet, he is running our country. We have no functional legislative branch. He's running everything. And he's gotten us into a totally unnecessary war that now he's desperately trying to figure out a way out of. And whatever he says when he declares victory and leaves, he's going to leave an extraordinary disaster scene, because that's what he does. He destroys. He is an exceptional destructive force. I mean, you can't make up the incompetent blundering. You, again, wouldn't be on your bingo card. Wouldn't. We're okay. And, so because the gas prices are high, so what does he do? He lifts sanctions on Iran's oil to try to keep the prices of gas down. Imagine this. He's bombing the holy hell out of Iran, and he gives them this gift of you can't make it up. All of this war, the only beneficiaries at this point in this war have been Russia. They're making out like bandits. I'm sure China in some respects. So I'm looking for this, I mean, the actual deranged quote. Here it is. Because it was one of those things that, you see it, and I can't believe I still sometimes think, is this real? Because knowing that with AI, anybody can put anything out, and it has, I mean, it was real. This came out at 7:44 p.m. And the bizarro capitalizations of certain words, it's just, he's nuts. If Iran doesn't fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours from this exact point in time, the United States of America will hit and obliterate their power plants, starting with the biggest one first. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. Let me tell you, what he's got there in print is the threat of a war crime. It is absolutely a crime against humanity to knowingly go after the energy infrastructure of another country, which of course is Russia's whole game plan in Ukraine. And I checked the time and thought, ooh, so that would be Monday at 7. And then I thought, how's he gonna, I mean, he ain't gonna do that. They're not gonna do it. He's gonna have to back away. And you think of and of course he has, but how, that backtracking that he does after these bombastic threats. It's curious to me that he doesn't see those as humiliations, as personal humiliations, and as a sign of weakness. If you threaten something and you don't come through, then your threats become meaningless. And is that just too cerebral for him to understand, since he's just shooting from the lip, shooting from the hip, and never engages in thought? I don't know. And again, to the millions of my fellow Americans who voted for him, I mean, eternal shame on you. You should have to wear a scarlet tee for the rest of your lives. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm seeing some of. Oh my God! You just can't make it. Hegseth? Oh my God! All this Jesus Christing stuff? Crusades? What the? These people People are fucking insane. Do you see what the Cardinal of Washington said? Cardinal Robert McElroy. He said, in my view, in the teaching of the church, this is not a moral war. It is an immoral war. And thus, I am not praying that this immoral war continues. I only see a moral imperative to end this war. Did you know he said that? He went on to say it is one thing for Hegseth to say we should get on our knees and pray to God. And he said, I pray for our men and women. I do that regularly, the ones in our military. But, and then he went on to say, but I don't pray that this war succeeds. I pray that it ends. And Hegseth, saying that they all gotta get on their knees and thank. He goes off. He even says like the King Jesus. Here's what I want to say to this fucking asshole. Not all the men and women who are putting their lives on the line in this war pray to Jesus Christ. A whole bunch of them do, but 30% of them don't, okay? So he's making this into like a Christian army. And this is the guy, remember? He's got a tattoo that is a reference to the Crusades. And it I guess in Latin, and it means God wills it. God wills it. And that is, I guess, supposed to be the battle cry of the good Christians taking Jerusalem away from the Muslims. And, as a Jew, I just want to say that the Crusades, they like massacred so many Jews, these onward. Every time I hear that song, Onward Christian Soldiers, I want to vomit. I'm not kidding. And these guys get off. They get off on it. They get off on it. They really think this is some kind of fucking holy war. They ain't killing people. They're killing Muslims. And just out and out anti-Islam crap coming from some of the Republicans. It is mind-blowing. Okay. Guys, I just want to focus on one thing that I really do think is like everything I just said. The war, I don't know what's going to do us in. This, which could lead to like a World War III. Or what we're doing to the earth, to soiling our nest as we do. Because a report came out, and this again, this doesn't beat the war or Savannah Guthrie's mom. gone missing, although we wearied of that one because there was a report that said that climatologists are freaking out because all their models are proving not to be quite right. They're being proven to have underestimated. New research has found that the rate of global warming has nearly doubled over just the last 10 years. And the effects of this are intensifying in ways that even the experts are like freaking out. You and I are seeing it, the more intense storms, the warming oceans, the melting glaciers, all of that happening much faster and more powerfully than they had predicted. And yet these are the guys that the Trumpers call alarmist. It turns out they weren't alarmist enough. Here's an expert from the University of Pennsylvania. Key impacts are exceeding what models predicted when it comes to the intensification of hurricanes, ice sheet disintegration, sea level rise. Records are being shattered all over the globe consistently and constantly. And here's a climate scientist from London. Things are getting really outside of what humans have ever seen. Almost every part of the world is experiencing extreme, never seen weather events. It goes on to say that the oceans, which absorb more than 90% of the excess heat that we've got trapped in our atmosphere, are warming at a much higher rate than was expected. If you go down to Florida and you dip your toe in the ocean these days, it's like you'd think it was a bathtub. That's not normal. There's a glacier in Antarctica called the Thwaites Glacier. It is melting at such an alarming rate that they are worried now. If it breaks apart, global sea levels, that one glacier could create global sea level rise of 2 feet. Which would wipe out coasts all over the place. The European Alps have lost 10% of their glacier volume in just the last 2 years, while Venezuela became the first Andean nation to lose all of its glaciers. And then they make very clear, the culprit is known. It's us and the burning of fossil fuels. That's it. And so they say, ever since, in case this hasn't gotten through, and it hasn't gotten through to Trump and his ilk, ever since the Industrial Revolution, so you know when that was, back in the 1800s, right? Ever since then, the relentless burning of coal, oil, and gas has been adding heat trapping gases to the atmosphere. And that is why the temperatures are rising. The oceans are getting warm. You cannot, it's not going anywhere. It's being held in. And listen to this. This is the thing that freaked me out. Since 1997, when nations all agreed to limit planet warming gases. This was that landmark Kyoto Protocol. First time that all the nations of the world agreed, hey, we're in dangerous territory here. We'll all agree to keep it tamped down. Since the Kyoto Protocol, since 1997, human beings on Earth have released more greenhouse gases than in all prior history. Since 1997 to 2026, we have expelled more of this stuff into the atmosphere than happened in the entirety of history. It's hard to believe. And at the same time, the ability of the planet to absorb this is it just can't. Okay, so I know that's depressing, but I wanted you to know it because of the fact that Trump is actively working to spew more coal, beautiful coal, oil. He has made it, he's destroyed the electric vehicle production in this country. He has gone after solar power, wind power, hydropower. It is like he is actively working to destroy. He can't destroy enough quickly enough, destroy the entire Earth. The guy he put in charge of the Environmental Protection Agency, what a riot, will be speaking next month at the Heartland Institute convention. The Heartland Institute, ladies and gentlemen, argues that there is no evidence to support the theory that humans are causing global warming. That's who our Trump's EPA guy's talking to, because he's a pal of theirs. There is no such thing as climate-driven floods, hurricanes, or extreme heat. This crowd actually says that a warming planet may bring us benefits we are, for some reason, unaware of. And so this same EPA, as I'm sure you know, has decided that it will not regulate any of this shit, and that power plants and industry is now free to spew any amount of crap into the air, water, whatever that they want. There was something that was called, let me see if I can find it, because it's not something that, the endangerment finding. That's what it is. And this came out of a big court case. And the endangerment finding is that carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases are a threat to public health and welfare. That's what the endangerment finding is, and it came out of a 2009 lawsuit. And it is that finding that the EPA has relied on ever since to say, this is why we have to regulate, because we know that this pollution is endangering the citizens' health, and governments are there to protect the citizens. This is news to the Trumpers. They think government is there to protect billionaires. So this EPA just rescinded it. They said it's gone. And that's why, as I said, they told polluters, go for it. We rescinded that stupid endangerment kind of whatever the fuck that was. It's gone. So you may have seen that 24 states are suing the feds, the Trump administration, saying that they did not have the legal authority to just the endangerment clause finding. And I thought, these are cases that are brought by attorneys general. And then I thought to myself, I wonder if Pennsylvania is one of those states, because guys, we have a Republican attorney general. The states that sue have Democrats. And one of the things that the billionaires here made sure of is that I've talked about this. They knocked out Eugene D. Pasquale and put in this idiot Sunday. He's RAG. He's not joining in this lawsuit. We're not joining, but then it turns out we are, because I found that, listen to this. Here's who's suing the feds on this. The attorneys general of Arizona, Colorado, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, Nevada, North Carolina, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, Virginia, Washington State, Wisconsin, and the District of Columbia. And then there's one more, as well as the governor of Pennsylvania. So we're part of the suit because our governor joined all those other attorneys general to get us represented. So I wanted you to know that. By the way, we are currently the world's second largest climate polluter. I'm sure that pisses Trump off. He always likes to be number one. After China. The United States also is the world's largest historic emitter of pollution since the Industrial Revolution. And we can be proud that since the Industrial Revolution, the United States of America has been responsible for releasing 20% of all the carbon dioxide emissions the globe's ever seen. Well, since 1751. President Trump says climate change is a hoax, like Russian interference. It's a hoax. Jeffrey Epstein and his palsy-walsy stuff with him, that's a hoax. If this guy says hoax, it's the God's honest truth. Anyway, people say about this lawsuit, by the way, which is extraordinarily important, that the states will probably prevail in the lower, at the lower levels of our great justice system. But Trump wants to get it to his pals on the Supreme Court. And court watchers say they wouldn't bet on it succeeding. But never fear. The Trump administration is working hard on matters that are of great importance. His hand-picked arts commission unanimously has approved the minting of a 24-karat gold coin bearing his image to celebrate the 250th birthday of the country. Have you seen what this coin's going to look like? It's that pose that he thinks makes him look so fierce. It's his hands on a table and glowering like this. That's what the coin is. He thinks it makes him look like a tough guy. There it is. It is ludicrous. Yeah. It is also so against the traditions of this country, because democracies don't put sitting presidents on coins. He, by the way, totally replaced everybody who was on this commission with his pals, including his receptionist. His former receptionist is now on the Arts Commission. By the way, there is a law from 1866 says this. It's called the Thayer Amendment. Only the portrait of a deceased individual may appear on U.S. currency. Well, even if he were deceased, we wouldn't put his damn picture on anything. But yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay. I think Maureen Dowd had this piece. I'm just going to quickly say this about the parties after the Oscars. And she was talking about how this playwright went after Sam Altman, who was there, and was screaming at him about, working with the Pentagon and saying you're destroying the world and how dare you and blah, blah, blah. And she pointed out that everybody else at the party was being palsy-walsy with, like Jeff Bezos was there with his disgusting wife. And nobody was taking any of them on. And the playwright who went after Altman said he thinks it's wrong for the fancy schmancy crowd, the supposedly, liberal Hollywood crowd, to party it up with the sons of bitches who are taking down our country. He said he wished more people would rattle the cages of the Silicon Valley overlords. He says these nerds show up in their Prada and Dior, and they want to swan around with the fashionable crowd. They should be shown the exit, not allowed to get cozy in places of culture. He said he was disappointed that more of that cultured elite did not challenge Altman or Bezos. And I agree with him. It's Jeremy O. Harris, by the way, said he's a black 36-year-old playwright, uh, a Tony-nominated play called Slave Play. I agree with that. So all those bejeweled, spectacled, beautiful people who said really nothing at the Oscars then went and partied with Bezos, Altman. Yeah. Hey, just a shout out to if you want to see that amazing one woman production of Etty, Etty, about another young Dutch woman who kept a diary during World War II and was killed ultimately, but her diary survived, Etty Hillesum. And her parts of her diary have been made into this one woman play by an extraordinary woman named Susan Stein, who has performed it all over the world. And this is the woman who does that amazing work in the jails as well, in prisons. Anyway, if you want to see it, and this would be a very intimate setting to see it, there's a bookshop in Regent Square where Susan Stein will be performing Etty in the shop. That'll be very intimate on Friday at 7, this Friday at 7. Just if you got nothing to do. It's powerful, wonderful. She's an amazing actress. And Etty Hillesum was an astonishing human being. It's called Stay Gold Books, 1104 South Braddock Avenue, right there in the heart of Regent Square. Friday at 7, if you want. I've seen it more than once, and it's mind-blowingly good. Okie doke, that it for me. I'm out of here, guys. I'll see you tomorrow with my kid sister Susan. I think it's the plan.